What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FMF podcast. Look, it's been a little second, but we back to it. And today I was talking with the guys, and I was just telling them like, yo, I think we should kind of tell everybody a little bit about our story, about how we got to this point that we're at now. You know, just briefly, but like some of the key things that help us get our minds, or help trigger that ambition that we got to really go down the paths that we gone down. So first I'm gonna pass it over to AJ. I'm gonna let him tell his story and tell us about it. Tell us a little bit about it.
I know we just jumped into the joint. We didn't even really talk about ourselves first, so this is good that we're doing this for real.
Exactly.
All right, so my name is Anthony Giovanni. That's how I am on all platforms. I go by Giovanni. My story is a long one. The most thing I targeted on my journey of life was me being diagnosed with Crohn's at a young age of my teenage ages of 15. That was the hardship that I really went through, and it's really puts a highlight on my life because actually I've had this condition most of my life. So that's all I've really known about for real. So Crohn's is an intestinal disease that attacks your small intestines, your kidneys, your colon, stomach area, basically anything in the digestive area. That's where the Crohn's lies in. Having Crohn's at 15 is like I said, is a small. It goes up into your small intestines, and that's what it really attacks your digestive system. Can't produce your body with white blood cells, so that's where it goes in with your energy, and you're tired all the time. And with it attacking your digestive system, you can't obtain the right nutrients and minerals throughout your body because it's not processing correctly. So until it drops your weight, you can't get the nutrition like you need to. So it's a harder time for me to live throughout life and eat regular foods like, I guess, regular people. Told this at 15 was hard, and even going through life now is still a little bit of a struggle here in my third decade. Didn't get a lot of time when it came to high school, homeschooled. I didn't get to go to the homecomings and regular graduations and stuff like that. But it was a good lesson that I learned that you can get through anything at any time just with good prayer and faith and staying strong. I mean, you can get through anything. But even having something like that, it doesn't stop me from my everyday life, man. I still work a 9 to 5, still have a lady in my life, around with the parents, get to go with my friends. Live a pretty good life now that I've taken control of this disease within my mind and within my body. So that's the hardest thing that I've been through with our life. Now, as I go through life now, I try to push people that you can get through anything. And I see myself as a motivator, and I am a coach when it comes to my personal training. And I do nutrition, which I had to learn myself going through Crohn's, that I've taught through people now that you can have a healthy life by eating correctly, taking care of your body. So that's what I love doing right now. It's a passion. I don't see it as much as a career or a job or something to get money. I see, of course, to get money from it, of course. Everybody has something to do to make a living. But I do this because I love people, and I want to see people live long and just look good and within their own skin. Having Crohn's, I knew that I always felt like I looked bad because I was the sick one or I was small. So that's when it came to my mind that I wanted to get myself healthy and, live long and look good. So that's the model that I live.
Yo, hey, that was powerful, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
That's a powerful story for real.
Appreciate it, man.
I do got a question. I learned this saying from you, and I think you shared it on one of the other podcasts about how you can't be a island, you need to be a peninsula.
Yep.
Like, who is some of those people that kind of help you get through those like tough times when your health was kind of deteriorating and everything like that? Like, who is those people that really helped you out?
Man, honestly, my family. Like, people say they like, yo, family gonna be there. Some people families don't be there.
Yeah.
When I say my family dropped everything, they was like, yo, we gotta figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm talking about like distant cousins. I'm talking about anybody with my last name that's on my bloodline. Everybody came. I mean, across from North Carolina, everywhere. They always was there at family cookouts, stuff like that, making sure I'm good. And they always prayed with me. They always make sure things are straight. Yeah. My pop, even, I was living in Florida at the time when I first got diagnosed. And my dad got me up here to get to the best doctors and get me all straight because he's a firefighter. And of course, his when I was younger, I didn't understand something with insurances or something like that. He has better insurance here, so of course they're better up here. We ain't know down in Florida, so I came here, got the best surgeons, both my surgeries, and hey, my family. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here. I ain't gonna lie. Other than the Most High, my family was there, man. So I'd never be like, yo, I could do everything on my own. And to this day, as you see, when we do our free session Sundays, I always got, every other week is something. My mom coming out, one of my aunts is coming out, my sister stay there every time. My family be 100% behind me on anything that I do. So I always get, when people be like, yeah, they did it on their own, like we say like last time, no, I ain't do this on my own. My friends, my family, they was there.
That's
good friends like y'all always here pushing me, stuff like that, man. I don't believe you can't do everything by yourself, man. You'll never hear me on any podcast, any video saying that I can do everything on my own. No, it's not. I ain't gonna lie. No,
it's a team effort, bro.
It's team, bro. It takes a village, man. It really do.
That's what's
facts,
up.
Facts.
That's what's up, man. That's dope. That's a powerful story, and that's a story that need to be shared. So like all the viewers out there, if you're going through, any health difficulties, any tough challenges, you got people like AJ and others who overcoming those health difficulties by, dieting, surrounding yourself with positive people, keeping a positive mindset. Those things go a long way on your road to recovery. So it's good you shared that story, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, so next we got Trey up. We got Trey, bro. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Let's know, man.
So mine came with a lot of trauma that I had to heal from. And I was going through so much from childhood on up, and it stemmed in my mind that, okay, obviously I'm not taking out this for a reason. I thought to myself that all of what I'm going through has to be for something. So my childhood trauma was not being wanted. I wanted to be wanted. My biological father chose not to be in my life. He chose not to be in my life, and that affected me drastically. So from there, I looked at my perspective. It was like, okay, well, since he chose not to be in my life, I'm gonna be the best man that I can be based off what he couldn't show me. And every time I faced adversity, I went into it with that type of mindset. And I didn't acknowledge it. It was innate. It was just what I naturally would do. I would gravitate to that. Like, okay, here's a problem. How can I solve it? If I can't solve it, what can I learn from it? And I learned countlessly. I learned tirelessly every time. I mean, I'm talking about drastic things that happen, like my grandmother and my stepfather, who was my younger brother's father, both passed in front of both of us. And I mean, like, to the point where I tried to save them and it didn't happen. And I blamed myself for each one of their passings because I was trying so hard, but it just didn't work. And I got tired, of trying so hard in everything that I do, and I would get overlooked. I would not get chosen, undervalued, belittled. And I was like, man, this can't be it. I had a suicidal moment and everything. And I was like, man, none of this took me out. So it opened my mind up, like, again, I have to be here for a reason. It has to be a reason. So there was two events that occurred that triggered my mindset into thinking more positively. One was we were homeless. I was homeless at 16 years old. So I was forced into a life of adulthood and responsibility. I had to make sure that my family had a roof over their head and food every night. And that took away, the responsibility from my mother so she can build her finances to be able to put a roof over our head. But I found peace and solace within that. I found things that were outlets for me. I went to music. I went to, peaceful isolation. I went to just breathing. I went to these things that was like, okay, regardless of what I'm going through, I'm going to survive. I'm going to keep my sanity intact. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep my mind strong. So with that, after that, the next event that occurred was, fast forward, now my mother's in the house. Now my brother is doing well. Now I got a woman and we in our own place. Okay. the next thing that triggered my mindset was I wanted to not just be surviving anymore. Now I'm focused on thriving. Okay, now I want the millions. Now I want to go for something. I'm passionate about something. Okay, first thing I did was I looked into real estate. That's something that I wanted to do because I want to help people. And one of the biggest burdens, as you could tell, was after being homeless, we didn't have a house. We didn't have a place to call home. And I could imagine how many other people were going through the same thing. So I got into real estate, but before I got into real estate, I decided to get into real estate. And I took it to the people that were closest to me, my mother and my now fiance. And both of them, as we spoke on New Beginnings, projected their fears on me, saying things like, you don't have a house, how you gonna get in real estate? You don't have the money, how are you gonna buy a house? Okay. It took me 2 years to get over those fears. And I got a little moxie. It just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. And when I did that, I started going to the seminars and learning everything that I could. I started going to the meetups. I started networking and connecting with people. And the thing was, all of the information was simple and repetitive, but the information wasn't the issue. It was the mindset that triggered it. In order to do these things, you have to be able to be disciplined, face rejection. You have to go out here and do it on your own. All right? Like, these things are, again, as New Beginnings, it's frightful. So I said, what's missing in this realm? And that was the mindset. And that's what triggered me to create AIM, always improving the mind, and just focus on the mindset piece in that aspect. And I realized I was getting much more fulfillment and accomplishment by being able to teach others how to tap into that mindset, unravel these emotions, and like just be able to be invincible and go for it.
Yo, Trey, that was powerful, man. Yo, hey, and you know he know how to talk. Hey,
I don't want to say nothing, man.
You know he know how to
get it off his chest.
Boy, you sell the story, bro.
That's good, man.
And that's
I ain't know that, man. I ain't know that. I know you said some stuff about your, pops and everything, and I don't want to dip into that, but you ain't go that far to say all that. So, dang, all right.
Yeah, man. Sure. So you got Trey, he really opening up, man. Everybody opening up.
Yeah.
And I guess the question I got for Trey is, like, how do you feel like all those things in your upbringing kind of, like, if you could give like one word, what would you say is that one word that from everything you went through in your upbringing kind of helped you get to where you at now?
Preparation.
Oh.
It was all preparation.
Just the beginning?
It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh.
From childhood on up, I had to go through those things. It had to break me so that I could rebuild. I had to be stronger in order to sustain and uphold all of what I got. When you're destined for greatness, you're going to go through something. I don't know no successful, like majorly successful person that's like, okay, yeah, I just went through a little something and got here. Nah, everybody has like a story that's like, yo, like a lot of people could hear it and like, I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have continued, or I would have got taken out, or I would have been like, fuck this, like for real. And mine is one. And I acknowledge it, and I'm thankful for it, because it's like, wow, like I really had to grow. Like, I had a negative sense of comparison at first, so when other people would talk about situations that they went through as I was younger, and I'm like, that's it? Like, because me, I'm like, man, I've been through...
You can say it to him. Oh, you can say it to him.
Something I did.
No, come on, man.
You know Trey did.
You can't do that, man.
Something I did.
I know what you mean, though, man.
It was all through learning, though. But it was like, man, like, okay, my perspective is open now. Is to be more understanding.
Okay.
But I went through triple, quadruple than some of the normal people that I've met. Like, and it's like, it's not for nothing. If everything happens for a reason, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Absolutely.
Right. So
good.
it's all preparation.
I like that.
Yo, that's deep, man.
I like that. You write that one down.
Dropping jewels. And then I gotta follow up this man's story.
Hey, man.
But I can't wait to hear it.
But no, for real. But just to get into it, this a little bit about my story. So with my story, just to try to keep it as brief as possible, one of the biggest things for me when it came to like my mindset, how I got to this point, especially when it comes to finances and really that entrepreneurial drive. The biggest influence is my dad. Like it come down to my dad. I always saw my dad working multiple jobs, putting in a lot of hours. I rarely seen my dad because he was working so much. And I remember being younger and being like, yo, why is my dad not around? Or like, I hardly see my dad, and he lived in the same household as me. But as I got older, I understood what he was doing. He was trying to build a legacy, trying to build a more comfortable life for me and my siblings. So I used to see him working jobs, but then at some point, I say probably when I was like 9 or 10, he started having businesses. So he had a restaurant, he had a car detail shop, and then he had group homes. So me in my critical ages, from like my preteens to my teenage years, I always saw my dad as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. So that kind of trickled down to me. So in my teenage years, I was cutting grass, raking yards. I was always doing something to make some extra money. So I think that was the biggest factor in my entrepreneurial spirit, is seeing my dad and how he worked and how he always, wanted to build something for himself and for the family. So that was a big thing for me, and how I ended up right here. The next thing, far as like my mindset and my thought process, would probably, the two biggest things for those would probably be my daughter being born. That was probably the biggest thing. She gave me that purpose, that wanted, the same way my dad left a legacy behind for me, he wanted to leave something behind for me. I want to do the same thing for my daughter. So when my daughter came around, that was a big motivational factor for me, that I need to go out here and I need to get it. But the other biggest thing for me, and this goes back to why like I'm so I really put an emphasis on time, is when my grandmother passed. Because one of the reasons why I wanted to be super successful is I wanted to let her have a better living. I used to go, I was kind of raised by my grandmother. My parents had me young in college. So my grandmother had me a lot to kind of help them finish up school. And so, she was like a second mom to me. So I always had these hoop dreams. A lot of people, everybody think the first thing they think of, if you want to make a lot of money, be a rapper, be an athlete. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things most people thought about. So for me, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be in the NBA. I'm gonna be 5'10", like Nate Robinson. So I that was my path. And then I figured out pretty soon that wasn't the path for me. But that was the dream I had in my head, that once I make it big, once I come up and have this, make a large amount of money, one of the first things I'm gonna do is buy my grandmama a house. Make sure she living comfortably. So it was a real big thing for me to try to get that goal accomplished. But when she passed, I realized that like, yo, time is not guaranteed for all of us. It's no guarantee that you're gonna be here tomorrow. Cause my grandmother, she had health issues, but far as we know, she just went to sleep and never woke back up. So that was a big factor for me that made me be like, you know what, Paul, you got to really get on it. You got to get on it, but you also got to take time out to show appreciation to the people that care the most about you. And so that's why that was so big for me, with my grandmother passing, was a big thing, far as understanding the value of time and realizing that it's not guaranteed to us. And then the last thing for how I got to now, which triggers into like kind of like the fearlessness and the ability for me to want to go out and just try different things, is my divorce that I went through a couple of years ago. To me, family is everything. Like, family is everything. I grew up in a 2-parent household. I always had my mom and dad somewhere around. Even though my dad was working a lot, he was there when I needed him to be. So, I never experienced a split household. So when I started going through that divorce process, it felt like, my family was crumbling right before my eyes. I felt like, oh, now I'm not going to be able to see my daughter every day, or some other person going to be around my daughter just as much, if not more than me. A lot of fears started bubbling up in me. And I had to do a lot of personal work on myself. I had to do a lot of journaling, positive affirmations, to really get my mindset changed, to realize this is just a different form of family. And what it did was it allowed me to lose some of those fears that I once had. And being that, family is everything to me, the fear of losing my family as I know it was such a big thing for me. Once I overcame that fear, it was like, everything else is easy money. So now I could go out and I could, start a podcast with two other amazing guys. I could go out here, I start my own podcast. I could go out here, start working for myself and leave my job behind, because now that burden of fear of most fears, we still got some fears we still deal with on a daily basis, things like that. I'm not completely absolved from fear, but I looked fear in the face and I was able to overcome it based on going through that divorce process. And now I'm not, fear is just something like I search out and then try to overcome it. And so I would say those are probably the biggest things as how I got to where I'm at as far as my story. All right, so yeah, that's about it, man.
Man, that was dope, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So I just want to ask, all right, as far as the fear aspect, how do you overcome it? How do you overcome it? I know you touched on a little bit on that, but how do you overcome it? Do you attack it head on, or like what's your process?
For me, I gotta attack it head on. Like, I gotta see whatever that fear is. First off, sometimes people don't even recognize they have a fear. They don't even recognize that it's a fear. They think it's just comfort or whatever like that. Some people have a fear of getting out their comfort zone. Yeah. So for me, when I realize that it's a fear, the first question I ask is this a legitimate fear? Like, if it's a lion in front of me, yeah, I should be afraid of that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I should be afraid of it. But if it's the fear of, going out and starting your own business, if it's a fear of leaving an unhealthy relationship, if it's any of those type of fears, you got to weigh out the pros and the cons. Like, yeah, you might be leaving something that you're comfortable, but you might be going to something that's better for you. So for me, that's what I had to do. I had to look the fear in the face, realize, is this a legitimate fear? And then if not, I got to take steps, whether it's, journaling, working on your mindset, or actually putting a plan together. If you want to leave your job or whatever, put a plan together, execute the plan, and then overcome it. Yeah.
In fact, so I know you said something about the hoop dreams. I had the same thing. I thought I was going to get out there, and my mind was just straight on that. How'd you change when it came to knowing that, hey, I ain't going to do this? Was it hard to, get to the next step and being like, go to plan B? Or you was like, shoot,
it was
plan
tough.
A didn't work, so I was going to...
I ain't going to lie, bro. When I was like 19 when I realized, like, damn, you know what? I don't think I'm going to the NBA. I thought I was gonna be some rare case, like, dude never started in high school and didn't go to college. Somehow ended up in the NBA. I thought I was gonna be that rare case, but when I realized I wasn't, I had to. It took a blow to my pride.
Right.
But after that, I was like, yo, what can I do then? And then I started planning out other things I could do, other ways I could make money, other ways I could become successful. And the biggest thing was entrepreneurship. So I worked a job, but I always had something else on the side I was doing to try to make some extra money. So yeah, that was
okay.
That's dope.
Yeah. All
right. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Kings, for allowing yourselves to be vulnerable enough to share your story.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm pretty sure that you all can connect with it. And I know just off of what was shared, I learned. And I'm ready to go head on to whatever. Like, I'm just listening to y'all, I'm more fearless, you know?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I want to thank y'all for that.
Yeah, man. I want to thank y'all too.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah. All right. But look, this is going to wrap it up, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is a very intimate episode. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on all of our social medias. We'll have it down in the comment section. But look, we'll catch up with y'all later. Peace.
All right.